healed. Yeah, now I can because I'm healed. So, amen. God is so good. I want to share a little bit of my testimony this morning, because if you can see where God brought me from, then you know why I get so excited and I want to shout praise, and I get a little bit, I might even say, I don't want to say dramatic, but I do get a little bit loud and I yell sometimes, and I get excited because I know that God has a plan. And sometimes we get so caught up in looking at me and us that we forget that there's a bigger picture, and we get so distracted, and dare I say, our vision gets clouded by the enemy's attacks. Yes. And so we forget that there's a bigger plan than just the moment of the day. And there was a time in my life that I was bedridden, and I had a muscle disease. I say had, praise God, I had a muscle disease. And I struggled with that muscle disease for almost 20 years. Spent at least 15 of it not knowing what was wrong with me. Finally, they sent me to the U of M, and they said, well, you have this disease, and it's really too late. All we can do is put you on prednisone and medications to help the pain. And I was so discouraged because I had spent most of my adult life serving the Lord in ministry at Teen Challenge. And so I got to this point, and I'm thinking, God, I've been believing for a healing, and here I am. I just got news that now that I found the answer, what's wrong with me? They're saying there's no hope. And the discouragement overwhelmed me, and I'm just going to be real with you because that's who I am. I'm going to be really real with you. And my faith began to be depleted, and it began to waver. And I took those medications that the doctors offered me. And as I began to take those medications, it seemed to wear my body down. And they seemed to fight against each other. And all of a sudden, I'm to this place of depression that I'm taking medication for depression and anxiety. And now what I'm finding in my life as a pastor's wife, as a worship leader, as a Bible teacher, I found myself questioning God and feeling numbed by those medications. And so it was about 8 years ago. I was so discouraged. I was ready to run away from life. I was thinking I was going to end it all or run away. I mean, the enemy had my mind. He was just hitting me. And he had me convinced that my family, my husband, would be better off without me. And so I had sent my children off, and my husband was out doing the Lord's work, ministering on the road for Teen Challenge. And I had decided that it was going to be the end that day. And I dropped my kids off with people overnight, and I had gotten my pills, went up, and I was laying on my bed, on my husband's side of the bed, with all my pills there, and I was ready. I was ready to end it. I was ready to take those pills and go to sleep. And if you're a Christian and you get to that point, you know something's wrong. You know something's wrong. And your faith has gotten to that point where you're so low that you just can't see right from wrong. You know the enemy's out to get you. And so as I sat there, I was laying on the bed, my phone rang, and a lady who had been praying for me said, I don't know what's going on. She said, but I know it's not good. And she said, why aren't you at church? Why aren't you out where you're supposed to be? And I said, because I'm tired and I'm going to sleep. The kids are away, David's gone, and I'm going to sleep today. And she said, Kristi, it's not time for you to go to sleep. It's not time for you to go to sleep. And I'm like, I'm going to sleep. I'm tired. I'm going to sleep. And this was my mindset. And she said, if you don't get up out of that bed, she implied she was going to come to my house. And I'm like, oh, here she is in my business. Was not a happy camper at all. And so I got up in my frustration and my rebellion, and I got up and I went to church. She said, you need to come where I can see. And I went to her church. And I was so at the end of myself. I was so at the end of it all that I went to church that morning, and I got done and I got through, and she was sitting there. I said, okay, I'm going home. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. And so I got home thinking, this woman's not going to leave me alone. So I'm thinking, how can I get these pills? Do I need to go and do what I'm going to do? And before I could even get my brain and my thought together, she was at my door knocking. And she came in the door and she said, Kristi, what are you going to do? Go drink? And she knew that was my thing when I was a teenager. That's why I went to Teen Challenge in the first place, was for drinking. So she was wondering if I was going to go drink. And I said, it's too late. I said, I'm addicted to these pills. I said, I went to a friend's house the other night who was a Christian, but she believed it was okay to socially drink, and so she wasn't there, and she said, go rest at my place, and I went there and I mixed a drink, and the enemy that night had told me, you've done it now, your husband's never going to forgive you, you're ruining his career at Teen Challenge, you might as well just die. And so that's why I woke up with that wanting to die. And so I said, it's too late. And she said, Kristi, it's not too late. Why do you think the enemy is trying so hard to take you out? Because God's got a plan for your life. And I said, how can he forgive me? I've gone too far. I'm a pastor. All the titles in the world don't mean nothing. They're nothing. I stood there in need of God. In need of his touch. And that day she said, can I help you? Will you let me help you? And I said, and I gave her my keys, and she went through my house, took all my pills, and that was the beginning of a new start for me that day. But what I needed to discover was God's grace. See, I had grown up in the Christian faith, and I had grown up in the legalism of years gone by, all right? And so I had thought I had gone too far, that God would never use me again, that this is my lot in life, I'm always going to be an addict, and see, it's just always going to be, and I had bought into the lie that I had failed too much, and I could never make up for all the wrong I had done as a Christian. And what he showed me was that his grace that he saved me with was going to keep me. Yes. Still. Yes. Even though I made mistakes, even though I failed, even though I found myself again addicted. But his grace was still for me. And so that day was the beginning of the rest of my life. That was the new beginnings. And God began to peel back the layers that there was some stuff I hadn't dealt with way back in the program. Because I knew how to do religion. Like I said, I'm sure I was in church the day after I was born, probably. The Sunday after I was born. And so I knew how to do it. I knew how to put on the Sunday smile and the mask and be all that. But see, God saw beyond that. And he began to peel back those layers. And I put the mask on even in Teen Challenge. I didn't let him get to everything. I didn't let him deal with everything. Some things had happened to me. A couple men had taken advantage of me. And I never forgave. And I was holding that. It was affecting my marriage. It was affecting everything. And so God began to peel back the layers and do the complete healing. How many know if you heal wrong, if you heal wrong, then you'll never be able to be all that God wants you to be. And I healed wrong. I healed from the outside in instead of the inside out. And God had to go in and do a spiritual surgery and cut me wide open and say, I'm going to kill this right. I'm going to get rid of all the garbage, all the disease, all the clutter, all the hurts, all the wounds. I'm going to get rid of it all, and I'm going to heal it right. And I'm going to leave you exposed, and I'm going to leave you open, feeling vulnerable, so you know what? I'm going to do something new that I've never been able to do before. If you'll just surrender. And so God just began to do his thing. And he healed me emotionally. He set me free from a depression I had dealt with from the time I was 8 years old. Struggled with that darkness, struggled with that depression, fought it to some points, but then I'd give up, and this is the way it's going to be. And I struggled with it bad as a pastor's wife. And I don't even know that my husband knew, because I was that masked. I had to be strong. Sat in a pew of the church and I was seen, and then I'd leave. I was seen. Yeah, she must be okay because she was there, and I'd leave because I didn't want to do anything. So here, he begins to heal me of the emotions, spiritually and emotionally, and all that is just lifted after all those years. And I begin to walk in faith, but I still have this muscle disease to deal with, and I couldn't use medications anymore. And I thought, God, how can I do this? And he said, my grace will be sufficient for you, and my strength will be perfected in your weakness. And this disease I dealt with literally ate away my muscles like arthritis eats away joints. And so my muscles were dying. They said they looked like shredded wheat when they biopsied them. And so when he spoke that scripture to me, I realized that no matter what I faced, I could do it with him, even if that meant no medication. And so I gave up the pills that were causing a lot